5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Coming to you live from the White Picket Studios in Houston, Texas, this is the Realty Ruckus. If you are in any way, shape, or form involved in the real estate industry, this is the show for you. And now, your host, Alan Hernandez.
Good morning, Houston. I cannot hear myself. Can I get a mic check? Mic check. So, first off, I would love to be able to just speak on this microphone and hear myself, but if I can't, it's all right. We're going to move forward. We're going to talk about some really important, cool stuff today. We have some good lineup of guests that should be coming in here shortly, or a guest that should be coming in here shortly. Hopefully he can make it. I know there's a lot of traffic out there right now. And one of the things that we want to talk about today is some of the horrible things that agents are doing out there to keep their businesses from growing. And of course, you guys know that the reason we're putting on this show is to help those agents, to help people out there who are doing this as a job and instead we want to show them how to create a business out of it. So one of the things that we want to talk about today are the 5 things that you should never do when you're in real estate. And that's whether you're an agent or whether you're an investor or a wholesaler or whatever it is, the 5 things that you should never do. So we're going to talk about that here shortly. But I got to tell you guys, I had an interesting scenario happen over the weekend. And I think I told you guys a little bit about this previously. We decided that we were going to go out, right? And so I don't help a lot of buyer clients. I don't get a chance to do that very often. That's why we have agents who can do that. But over the weekend, I decided that I would actually help one of our buyer clients. And the reason why I did that was so I can refine our system so that we can see where the kinks are. And I found, man, it is really, really hard to help someone when the other party isn't willing to help you. And what I mean by that is, so I have a buyer who wants to buy a house. It's right here. It's actually one of my own flips. So we go out there. He likes it. He's like, hey, look, I want to take a look at these 2 others. Well, one of the 2 others he loves. He actually just falls in love with him and his wife. So, I was a little bit sad that he didn't want to buy my house, right? I was like, well, are you sure you don't want to buy this other one? This one's really nice. But he's like, no, look, I really like this house. Let's submit an offer. So fine. We put all the paperwork together and get an offer submitted. And I request the seller's disclosure and the inspection from the other agent. And this was literally 3 days ago, and the agent never replies. Now, keep in mind, this is a full price offer. Full price, ready to go. Now, look, I get it. It's the holiday weekend, right? What did everybody do for the holiday weekend? Did everybody go out and just drink? Is that what it is?
At the beach.
Everybody went to the beach. I mean, I went to the beach too, and if I have a full price offer in my mailbox, I'm at least saying, hey, I received it. I'll get back to you when I'm done being drunk, right? But this agent literally never replied, and this was Friday, so I get it. Maybe she was traveling, maybe she was doing something. I don't know what the deal is, but I gotta say, if you are at the point where you have listings and you have offers coming in and you don't have at least someone looking through your mailbox and an assistant, a partner, someone who can help you, you're really causing that client a disservice. You really are getting in the way of that client's property selling. And that's actually what happened here. My buyer client decided, hey, you know what? I don't really want to deal with this. I don't really want to wait. I have several other properties that I want to look at. And now he's already moved on to looking at something else. And that was kind of annoying because he was ready to buy this house. He was ready to just submit the offer, get it closed. And that was kind of an easy transaction, for us. It doesn't always happen that easy. I mean, usually when you're on the agency side, usually you're showing many properties to most clients. It's never just 2 or 3 properties. As much as we'd love for that to be the case, it hardly ever is. David, your wife's a real estate agent. What do you think? How many houses do you think she ends up showing to each buyer client?
I know it gets to the point where she's getting frustrated. I'm not sure the number, and I'm afraid to ask, just because I think it would make me cringe as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are people out there that will literally ask you to see 20 to 30 houses, and as a real estate agent, you got to find a really fine balance on where the thin line is, whether that works or not. Because if If you don't, you end up showing them 30 or 40 houses and they still can't make up their mind. And then they, you end up not making a dime sometimes because there's too many options. So you want to actually help them figure that out. So yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed. These agents that are out there representing sellers are not responding to their emails. I get it. It's the weekend. Everybody's going out. We're celebrating. I know you're having a couple extra beers, but I think it's important, regardless of where you're at, regardless if you're taking some time off, at least put an autoresponder. Hey, I'm not going to be back till Wednesday of this week because I'm traveling. At least do that. But don't just absolutely completely ignore people's emails, especially when you have a full price offer in your mailbox. It just kills the business. What, don't you think? I mean,
oh, I completely agree with you. You gotta be responsive.
So, what is the proper amount of response time to have in real estate? In my opinion, I like to try to get to people within 1 hour, but that's not always the case. I mean, it's almost impossible for me to do that. But one of the things that we'll talk about here in just a little while is response time. What is a proper response time? What is appropriate? Again, we're also going to cover the 5 things you should never be doing as a real estate agent. So we're going to talk about that here in just a second. Thanks again for joining us for the Realty Ruckus show. And we'll talk to you here in just a bit.
And make sure you guys save the date, save the time. St. Arnold's Brewery. What's happening at this event, David? What do we have going on there?
We're going to have our White Picket happy hour at, like you mentioned, St. Arnold's Brewery. We are expecting over 200 plus realtors, wholesalers, private money lenders, other investors, and other real estate professionals in general.
I've met attorneys at this thing. I've bought houses at this thing. I've sold houses. I've raised money. This is one of the best events in town, and people love coming out, not just because there's free food and free drinks, but because of the way that the event is set up and what we bring to the table in terms of bringing vendors right to their front doorstep and letting them know what we can do to help everyone's business. Isn't that the point of going to these networking events, to helping everyone grow?
Exactly. If you want to grow your net worth, grow your network, RSVP at teamwprhappyhour.eventbrite.com.
Hey, Quest IRA, this is Alan over at White Picket Realty. Just wanted to remind you to save the date, June 16th, for free 3-hour MCE course for realtors only. Are you a realtor, or do you know a realtor? Do you know that most realtors retire just over broke? We want to help you. We want to show you how you can invest in the stuff you know best by teaching you how realtors can retire rich. Sponsored by Quest IRA, White Picket Realty, and Texas American Title. Feel free to reach out to us and learn more about it. Save the date, June 16th, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. See you there.
Hey everyone, this is David with the House Flipping Network. And if you're like a lot of people, you're probably daydreaming right now about getting to fire your boss. Let me tell you about an exciting opportunity for you to do just that. If you've been looking to get into real estate investing or flipping homes, the House Flipping Network provides coaching and consultation services for people looking to grow a real estate investment business. If you're interested in more information, please reach out to me at david@houseflippingnetwork.com.
And we're back with our second segment of the day. And normally for our second segment, we're going to bring in somebody here that we can interview and give you guys a little bit of information about the business. But today, we really want to focus on interviewing the most important person that we have here. And that today is going to be Alan Hernandez. We're going to be going through with him, and we want to find out really why are we doing this show, and what does Alan have to offer to the community. So without further ado, Alan.
Thank you, guys. You're gonna interview the host. I appreciate that. That's actually a good idea, because a lot of people out there are probably asking why we're doing this. There's already been a couple of radio shows, or real estate radio shows started, but what I realize is there's a difference between all of them, and they're all catering to different crowds and different people. And we're doing this. We're sitting here together as a team, and for you guys out there that are viewing us, you see that it's not just me. There's 4 of us. There's 3 producers, and then I get a chance to rant a lot, which is awesome because I like to talk. But it's not just about sitting here and ranting. There's a purpose to all of this. So when we sat down and we started putting this thing together, we decided we wanted to cater to 2 crowds. One, there are the people out there that are entrepreneurs, right? They're entrepreneurs that are in real estate, and that's our main crowd. Those are the people that we really want to reach out to. If you're in real estate in any way. You're an entrepreneur in real estate. You're an investor. You're a wholesaler. You're a real estate agent. See, the thing about real estate agents too is a lot of them don't consider themselves entrepreneurs. Did you know that?
Yeah, I find that interesting that a lot of them think that they're just working another job. And that might be why they're not pushing their business to the next level.
That is absolutely right. And usually when I see an agent that thinks that way, I know what their performance is going to be. So I'm here and we're here to create a difference in their everyday lives and in their businesses. We want to turn their careers or their jobs or whatever it is they want to think about them into real businesses. And how do we do that? Well, one way to do that is by bringing valuable content, valuable information. So we realize when you start getting into real estate, you generally fall into a category where you're actually the operator. You're not really the entrepreneur. You're not really thinking of ways to grow your business, refine it, create systems. You're actually thinking of how you're going to go out there and build your own website. Haven't you seen that before where you meet a real estate? I mean, I see it all the time with some of our newer agents. They want to come in and they want to all of a sudden build a new website. Well, how much experience do you have in building a website? None. And all of a sudden they're going to go out and build like this amazing website, and you know what it's going to turn out like. You know what it's going to look like at the end of the day. They end up doing that. They end up trying to develop their own CRM. They end up trying to develop their own follow-up system, their own processes. All of this stuff. And they forget to do what? Real estate, right? They forget to do that. They forget that the money in the business, whether you're a realtor, wholesaler, investor, whatever it is you're doing out there. And by the way, guys, I cover wholesaling and investment when I speak a lot, not just realtor representing buyers and sellers. I cover real estate investing a lot because that's where I started. That's where I got my introduction to the business. I came in and started this business on the investment side, which is one of the cool things about real estate that a lot of realtors don't know. And I want to be able to bring some of that to the forefront. I want to be able to show that a realtor can retire rich. We found, we've figured this out. We've done our research. We found that most realtors retire just over broke. They work a job.
It's kind of surprising because you see all these realtors out there who are driving, Maseratis and Mercedes.
Yeah.
And you get this image of just complete and full-on wealth.
I think it's awesome. So part of the thing that we do here at White Picket is we're chasing down the right people. Not just anyone can just say all of a sudden, hey, I want to go out there and join White Picket. So we're chasing specific people down, and chasing people down, obviously, that's another word for recruitment, means that we're looking for specific qualifications being meeting minimum criteria of sales. So what's funny is we've been doing a bunch of research. We've been checking people out and saying, all right, well, how many transactions is this guy actually closing or this gal actually closing? And some of the people that we see on social media, like Instagram, some of the other sites where we see, oh, look at me driving this and me doing that and me, all these crazy awesome things. And it's like, dude, I just checked. You did, 5 transactions or 6 transactions last year. You don't even qualify for 100% program, but you're out there acting like you are. And so, I actually don't like that. I want to make sure that we cater to the people that are more humble, that are more serious about just running the business, not just flashing. And we want to take the people that are doing 10 deals a year, 10 transactions, bigger transactions, hopefully, to 20 transactions, to 30 transactions. And it's very, very simple. We want to provide the resources to do that. So we want to give them the systems in place. We want to give them the support. We want to give them all of the resources. And of course, the content to help their business grow, not in terms of getting someone to just come in here and start building their own website, but getting someone to come in here and understanding what it's going to take to get in front of the right people, motivated sellers, motivated buyers, whatever it is they're comfortable dealing with, but getting in front of those people, because that's what makes the money. At the end of the day, if you're an agent, you're absolutely making the most money by being in front of a client, sitting right in front of someone and asking for the sale. If that's not what you're doing, then you're probably focused on doing other items that are not income producing activities. All right. And if you guys hear, if you guys know me out there, you'll notice that I'm always talking about, income producing activities. Are you doing something that is income producing? And if you're not, then you need to go back and start over and figure out where you're spending most of your time. And if you're getting to the point where you're too busy and you're finding that, hey, I'm doing this and this and that, I can't figure this out, I'm working on a website, but I want to be able to lead generate, then, then it's time to grow a team. Then it's time to get an assistant. And that's when it starts really flourishing. That's when you start really seeing some tremendous expansion in your business. And so we're going to talk a whole lot about that in this show: how to grow a team, how to grow your business, how to create a business out of just showing houses or buying houses or selling houses, anything that has to do with real estate investing in terms of real estate and how to grow. That's what we want to talk about. So in the next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the 5 things that you should never do. Is that the next segment, BB? You are the producer. Wonderful. And we're going to give you guys some real good tips on what to do afterwards.
White Picket Realty. I want to let you know that when you're ready to stop working your real estate career and start building a real estate business, Team WPR is the place to be. Not only do we offer real results, real support, and real branding, but furthermore, 80 to 100% commissions of your hard-earned money going back to you. Make sure you reach out to us. Join at teamwpr.com. Again, that's join, JOIN, at teamwpr.com.
Hey, Quest IRA, this is Alan over at White Picket Realty. Just wanted to remind you to save the date, June 16th, for free 3-hour MCE course for realtors only. Are you a realtor or do you know a realtor? Do you know that most realtors retire just over broke? We want to help you. We want to show you how you can invest in the stuff you know best by teaching you how realtors can retire rich. Sponsored by Quest IRA, White Picket Realty, and Texas American Title. Feel free to reach out to us and learn more about it. Save the date, June 16th, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. See you there.
Hey, Houston, this is Alan Hernandez over at White Picket Realty, and I want to share an important event that's coming up June 7th, 6 to 9 p.m. Make sure you guys save the date, save the time. St. Arnold's Brewery. What's happening at this event, David? What do we have going on there?
We're going to have our White Picket Happy Hour at, like you mentioned, St. Arnold's Brewery. We are expecting over 200 plus realtors, wholesalers, private money lenders, other investors, and other real estate professionals in general.
I've met attorneys at this thing. I've bought houses at this thing. I've sold houses. I've raised money. This is one of the best events in town, and people love coming out, not just because there's free food and free drinks, but because of the way that the event is set up and what we bring to the table in terms of bringing vendors right to their front doorstep and letting them know what we can do to help everyone's business. Isn't that the point of going to these networking events, to helping everyone grow?
Exactly. If you want to grow your net worth, RSVP at teamwprhappyhour.eventbrite.com. Hey everyone, this is David with the House Flipping Network, and if you're like a lot of people, you're probably daydreaming right now about getting to fire your boss. Let me tell you about an exciting opportunity for you to do just that. If you've been looking to get into real estate investing or flipping homes, the House Flipping Network provides coaching and consultation services for people looking to grow a real estate investment business. If you're interested in more information, please reach out to me at david@houseflippingnetwork.com.
And we're back. It's a beautiful day out there. I know if you're from Houston, you've been getting used to a lot of rain lately, but for once we've actually got sun in the sky, and we're back with our guests and our host today, Alan Hernandez. And what I really want to focus on for these next segment is a little bit about your history and your background. And I want to understand what makes you an expert in this industry. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, what makes me an expert in the industry? Wow, man! Way to put the guest on this, or the host on the spot, man. Whose side are you on? Well, I got my start in real estate, and I told you guys a little bit about that. I got my start in the investment world of the business. I actually started real estate when I was in college, which was different than what most of my other friends were doing. Everyone was working the part-time bar jobs, this, that, and the other. I read a couple of books. I decided that I was never going to go the 9-to-5 route. I just had a feeling I wasn't going to be real great at it. And, I didn't want to be set up in that scenario for some reason. I was terrified, man. When I went to college, man, I had the worst feeling that when I left, I was going to be put into a tiny little cubicle, and I was going to be told, do your job or get out, and I just, I remember watching Office Space. You remember that movie, Office Space?
Yeah, I love Office Space.
I remember watching that movie and thinking, man, I realistically think that that's the way, corporate America is. And I figured I was going to have some like crazy boss following me around with a cup in his hand, asking me to come in on Saturdays.
Well, and I've never been in corporate America, but it's my understanding that it really is that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it actually is.
That's exactly what it's like.
I totally dodged that bullet, man. It was so, it was such a blessing for me to just not ever be.
What about that scared you? Because, some people thrive in that environment. Some people
A lot of people thrive in that environment. But you know what's crazy about me, man? I actually thrive in I thrive in chaos, man. I like risk, and I can't stand the feeling of thinking that everything's going to be so pretty and perfect, and that I'm going to sit at a desk and I'm going to get this great paycheck. Is it twice a month or once a month? And
I think bi-weekly probably.
Okay, twice a month, and think, okay, yeah, this is great, and maybe I'll get a promotion one day, and maybe I won't. Maybe I'll sit here and work 30 years, and maybe I'll get to retire, and that's kind of what's sad, man. I started seeing people, even in our family or extended family, that were getting into retirement age, and they were getting ready to receive, some sort of quote unquote passive income, but their bills were growing, but their income wasn't. Their income was actually shrinking. You get older, you start, getting sick. You got to go to the doctor. You need special medicines. You need special this and that and the other, and you don't have that. So I was able to dodge that bullet. And literally I started door knocking. I knocked on a few doors, and months later, after knocking on doors near the campus, I finally found someone who was like, "Hey, yeah, I'll sell you my house." Like, really? Why would you do that? Turns out, they actually just needed to sell. I didn't know what to do with it, so I called a couple bandit signs and said, "Hey, I got somebody that's willing to sell a house, and what will you pay me for the lead?" And they're like, "Well, what are they selling it for?" Well, I didn't know what it was worth at that time, and they're like, "Well, sounds like a good lead. I'll give you $1,000 if it closes." I was like, "Yeah."
So you essentially played bird dog in that situation.
I played bird dog for my
without even knowing it.
For my first transaction, I played a bird dog. I just found someone that was willing to sell and found a motivated buyer, per se, in this case, an investor. And it closed 3 weeks later. We wrote something down literally on a piece of paper. Hey, once this deal closes, you'll pay me this and this and that. And the only thing I did was make sure that little piece of paper went to title company, which I read in a book to do that. And a few weeks later, I got a check for $1,000, and man, those $1,000 were amazing. I bet. That was the best gift I could have ever gotten. And when you get $1,000 in college, I mean, that buys you so much beer. The amount of beer you can buy. I remember going to like the bar or whatever that night, and just like standing at the bar and being like, "I'm buying beer for everybody." And the bill was only like $100,
Yeah, college towns.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. And everybody was like, "What are you doing, man?" And of course, my friends thought I was selling drugs or something. They thought I did something illegal. And man, it was fun. After that, I decided I wanted to start my own real estate investment business, right? Because I had just figured out how to do this. And then I realized there was companies out there that were already doing what I was thinking about doing. So I was like, well, I'll just if you can't beat them, join them type deal.
Yeah, let me ask you about that first interaction. So you went there, you were door knocking. How in the world did you know what to say? Well,
I didn't.
So what were you telling people?
Well, here, let me see if I can remember. Hi, I'm a college student. My name is Alan, and I'm looking to buy houses in this area. And they were looking at me like, "You're a college student.
Did you read that in a book? Or?
Yeah, I just read it in a book, man. I just read it in a book. Hey, just go in there and have a conversation. And that's actually what I did. I went up there. I had a conversation. The person that ended up selling the house was like a really, really sweet grandma type lady. And she was like, "Yeah, sweetheart, I'll sell you my house." And it was it was awesome, man. She actually made me some food after it closed. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really cool, man. We had that was one of the best experiences that could have ever happened. And it opened my eyes to not having to work a 9 to 5, that there was ways for you to make money on your own, that you could create your own destiny, that you could make your own income, and that you didn't have to depend on anyone to do that for you. And that's the route that I chose to take. And it hasn't been an easy route. And I mean, you know, I've hit some brick walls, some dead ends. I still do sometimes. I'm still learning. I've probably flipped over 100 houses by now, and I'm still picking a house up here and there that teaches me some huge lessons. You know, I have one right now that's kicking me in the butt, and, you know, it's just part of the business, but I enjoy every bit of it. Don't get me wrong, even though it's not easy, I figured that at least you get a chance to give it a shot on your own. And at the end of the day, you've created something, you've done something, and you have something you could potentially pass on, which not a lot of people can do when they're retiring. So we'll talk a little bit more about, you know, how I got started, how I got there, and hopefully I can answer some more of your questions here shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Hey, Quest IRA, this is Alan over at White Picket Realty. Just wanted to remind you to save the date, June 16th, for free 3-hour MCE course for realtors only. Are you a realtor, or do you know a realtor? Do you know that most realtors retire just over broke? We want to help you. We want to show you how you can invest in the stuff you know best by teaching you how realtors can retire rich. Sponsored by Quest IRA, White Picket Realty, and Texas American Title. Feel free to reach out to us and learn more about it. Save the date, June 16th, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. See you there. Hey, Houston, this is Alan Hernandez over at White Picket Realty, and I want to share an important event that's coming up June 7th, 6 to 9 p.m. Make sure you guys save the date, save the time. St. Arnold's Brewery. What's happening at this event, David? What do we have going on there?
We're going to have our White Picket happy hour at, like you mentioned, St. Arnold's Brewery. We are expecting over 200 plus realtors, wholesalers, private money lenders, other investors, and other real estate professionals in general.
I've met attorneys at this thing. I've bought houses at this thing. I've sold houses. I've raised money. This is one of the best events in town, and people love coming out, not just because there's free food and free drinks, but because of the way that the event is set up and what we bring to the table in terms of bringing vendors right to their front doorstep and letting them know what we can do to help everyone's business. Isn't that the point of going to these networking events, to helping everyone grow?
Exactly. If you want to grow your net worth, RSVP at teamwprhappyhour.eventbrite.com. Hey everyone, this is David with the House Flipping Network. And if you're like a lot of people, you're probably daydreaming right now about getting to fire your boss. Let me tell you about an exciting opportunity for you to do just that. If you've been looking to get into real estate investing or flipping homes, the House Flipping Network provides coaching and consultation services for people looking to grow a real estate investment business. If you're interested in more information, please reach out to me at david@houseflippingnetwork.com.
And we are back here on the show. We've got Alan Hernandez, our host and our special guest for the day. We're talking a little bit about how he got started in the real estate investment industry. And I want to keep that going, but I really want to jump into what keeps you going today on a daily basis. So we talked about a little bit what got you going in the beginning, but I want to know, what is your big why? Why do you do this? Why do you do everything, all this real estate investing, entrepreneurial ideas, not working the 9 to 5? What keeps you going every day?
That's a really, really interesting question. And you know, nowadays, I when I'm teaching a class and when I'm sitting in front of students or new agents or anyone that's part of our team, the first thing I ask them to do is create their big why. And a lot of times people leave that out. A lot of times people forget how important having a big why really is. And I'm sure there's other names for it, but I literally just call it, you know, a big why or my big why or our big why, because, you know, one of the things that you come across in entrepreneurship and you know, and it could be whether you sell real estate or whether you sell widgets. At the end of the day, sales is sales, right? But one of the things we come across is finding ways to continuously stay motivated, finding ways to understand why you do what you do. And what I mean by that is, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're business, and until you get to the point where you can sub every part of your business out to someone else, to management, to assistants, to VAs, et cetera, a lot of times you are working, you're doing a lot. And, you know, with us, you know, being a younger company, we're still creating a lot. We're still developing a lot. We're still putting, you know, awesome systems in place. And the cool thing is we enjoy it. You know, that's the plus. The on the other hand, it's work. It's a lot of work. And people that are out there don't realize that. They think, hey, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to work 20, 30 hours a week and make make $1 million a year. You know, they don't realize it takes a lot. It takes a toll on you, physically, emotionally, you know, and you have to be willing and able to get up every day and give it your absolute best. And you know, to answer your question, BB, is the best way to do that is to have a big why. So I sat down one evening and I decided that I would literally, you know, off of the top of my head, tell myself, you know, and others around me what that big why really is. You know, what did it actually mean for me to get up and do this every day? And I realized a couple things when I created that. One, I get up and I look at that big why and I come in and you know, we have our big giant big why here at the office.
Yes.
And I see that every day, and it reminds me of why I'm doing this. And a lot of times, you know, I have to remind myself, this is not just for me. This is not just because I want to, you know, get rich or, you know, buy a ton of houses or you know, have some sort of, I don't know why people do this, but I can guarantee you it's not for the money. You know what I mean? Or it shouldn't be. Yeah. Maybe it is for a lot of people, but it shouldn't just be for the money. And, you know, I come across a lot of people that I think that's the only thing, that's the only reason they do it. And, you know, when they have a bad year or a bad month or they have a, you know, scenario where they fail, it's automatically, okay, that's it, I'm out, you know? And the reason that is because they didn't realize why they were doing this. They didn't have a real purpose besides making money. And I can guarantee you that that's the only reason you're almost entirely destined to fail. Because you're not always going to make a ton of money. That's just the truth. You know, sometimes you hit some rough patches.
Absolutely. I mean, you take even a major company. I use Tesla for an example right now. I mean, they were the hottest car company. They were on fire for several months there. Then they had all those batteries that they got recalled and they were down on the low. Yeah. So yeah, it's not always about making big money. It's about making the big changes that people want, the big whys.
That's right. And so, you know, there's several really important things on my big why list that really resounded to me. One of them that I really liked was lifestyle design. Lifestyle.
What does that mean, lifestyle design?
Lifestyle design means that if you're an entrepreneur, right? Yeah. Like we are. If you're an entrepreneur, you have the ability, whether you know it or not, you have the ability to design your own life the way that you want to design it. You see, we're in this office right now because we want to be in this office. We're on the show live right now because we want to be on the show live.
And by the way,
now,
for anyone who's listening live, how can they get a hold of us?
Well, there's a couple ways to get a hold of us. One of them is to literally text us. You can text us at 24587. You can text whatever you like, but you have to put the letters RR before you text us.
That's right. RR like Realty Ruckus. RR 24587 24587.
You can literally text us and it shows up. I know you guys can't see it, but behind you there's a big giant screen and we can see anything that you post on there. Of course, if you post any curse words, they get deleted immediately. We know because we've tried it.
Yep. Well, you got to test the system,
you gotta
right?
Test the system. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So yeah, anyone that wants to get a hold of us, that's one way to do it. And then we're gonna bring in some other avenues for people to do that. On the next couple shows, we'll actually try to go live on Facebook. And then is there a way to call in as well here in the next couple shows as well?
Yeah, on the next show, we'll actually have a call-in number.
Yeah.
We wanted to keep it a little bit simple on this first show, get everyone accustomed to the radio show.
Yeah.
And so we just kept it with the text today.
Get us accustomed too, man, because, you know, this is literally, it's not my first time being live on the air, but it's my first time being on our own show where we're talking about what we want to talk about, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, to answer your question, the big why is flat out probably one of the most important things. And if you guys haven't seen our big why, I'm happy to share that. I share that with everyone. And the reason why I share that big why and the reason why I think it's so important is because it brings the right people to your business. Haven't you noticed that when we set up our big why at the office, the right people started coming to us? People that saw the big why and said, hey, yeah, I can actually see eye to eye to that. I want to have my own lifestyle design. I want to do this not just for myself, but for my kids, for my future generations. I want to do this because this means more than just making money. I have a passion for it. I love the thrill of it. You know, all of that stuff all adds up to a certain type of person and a certain type of atmosphere and culture that you want to create. And when you're surrounded by nothing but like-minded people, all of a sudden you have something that is powerful.
So I want to get really into the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
What is your big why? I don't think we've actually heard what your big why is. We got a good understanding of why you use it, but we really want to know, what is your big why?
Well, I got to tell you, you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to three things for me. It comes down to three things for me. Now, if you look at my big why, there's several bullet points on there that are important. They're all important, but the last bullet point to me is the absolute most important. So it goes like this. It's for God, for family, and the legacy that we'll leave behind. Now, those three things in my life are the most important things that create that motivation for me. You know, I look at Daniel, my 5-year-old son, and Eliana, my 2-year-old, and man, I wish I was them. Like I was just I forgot who I was telling to this, you know, this morning. They have the best life that any kid could ever imagine. I woke up this morning and Daniel was playing with the guitar that you gave him, and you know, he's wanting to learn. He's 5 years old. He's wanting to learn how to play, you know, rock on his guitar that is Uncle BB gave him. You know, I mean, I just think, man, how awesome is this? This kid's getting ready to go to basketball camp this week or this summer, and you know, he has all of these wonderful things that I didn't get a chance to have, but more importantly, he's inside. He gets the inside scoop on the knowledge that it's taken me literally, you know, 30 something years to figure out, you know. So that's really why I do it, man. I wake up and I say, you know, our parents didn't get a chance to think that far enough ahead. Our parents, you know, we're immigrant children, so our parents were only worried about making sure that they got us a good education. They did that. You know,
they got here.
They got here to the United States, and they're like, all right, now you guys got to do your part. You guys got to go graduate and get a good education.
Absolutely.
You know, it's funny. I tell this all the time. I literally went to college because I wanted to please my parents, not because I thought it was necessary or that I needed it for myself. That's the craziest thing, but it's true. You know, when I was in college, I was there just to you know, to get this degree and be able to come home and be like, hey, Mom, look, I got this for you. And yeah, you know, done. All right, next, you know, because college for me wasn't that important. It wasn't that important. It wasn't necessary for me. I didn't feel like I needed to go to college. And I think,
but you felt like you needed to in order to please your parents.
I did it because I know that they went through an entire lifetime of finding ways to get me to where I am now, and I needed to be reciprocal and please them by showing them that I would get the education that they had, you know, struggled so hard to get me. Yeah. So that's why I did it, but it wasn't because I felt like I needed it. I mean, when I was in college, you know, my main focus was to learn to create a network, and you know, I was part of the fraternity, and I was, you know, involved in a bunch of organizations, and I was trying to figure out how to properly run an organization more than you know, what my next English, you know, teacher was going to teach me, or my next history teacher was going to talk about. You know, none of that stuff meant anything to me. Now, at the end of the day, I realized that college did have one thing that was really important. And I hear entrepreneurs online talking about this all the time. They always want to talk about how unimportant college was. And although I do agree with that, I will tell you, I think college did give us one of the biggest tests that you can go through, you know, and it's kind of one of those, you know, fail or pass, you know, pass or fail tests, you know, because if you go to college and you don't make it out of there, you essentially gave up.
Yeah, David, do you mind pulling up the stat? What is the dropout rate on college right now?
I'm sure it's
get that
high.
pulled up
I'm
here,
sure
yeah.
it's high, man. If you go to college and you quit midways, you automatically just gave up. Fine. A lot of entrepreneurs do. A lot of people just go over there and they realize the same thing I did. Maybe they didn't have a mom or a dad who they wanted to please. Fine, so be it. But I think at the end of the day, when I graduated, I look back and I say, you know what? It made me go and do a bunch of stuff I didn't want to do. I had no reason to do it. I don't think I needed it, but I did it and I successfully did it. And that, in a way has created a path, in entrepreneurial life that shows me that you have to persevere, that you may have to sometimes do things you don't like to do much. You may have to, spend some hours at the library or whatever. I remember sleeping at the library,
Yeah, I remember those days.
before a big test. So sometimes we have to do that here. Sometimes, we have a system that we got to get up and running, and we have to operate it literally within 12 hours. What's the stat?
Looks like, according to Google, only about half of students make it through college.
Half of students.
Yeah,
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's insane, man. So I kind of worry about, like, for example, my son listening to this, because
yeah, let's keep him from listening to the radio show.
I kind of worry about him listening to this. He's only 5 years old, and I've already talked to him about him going to college, and he's already set, on where he's 5 years old. He already knows where he's going to go, right? And of course he's going to go to FSU. There's no other option. And I already told him if he doesn't go there, I'm not paying for it. So, but what I do worry about him, looking at something like this and saying, well, Dad, you said college wasn't important. You said college wasn't right.
Yeah.
And I will say that college isn't right for everyone, but it is right for a lot of people. If you're an operator, if you're the person that needs to learn how to manage and run a business, probably college is a really good place to do that.
Yeah.
But if you're an entrepreneur and you want to be inside of a think tank and figuring out how to design or create or implement or all these other things that sometimes I think about, and then I hand them down to Brandon and he figures out how to put them all together, or BB, I say, hey, I want to do this, and you're always like, hey, these are all the pieces, here's how it's done.
Yeah.
That's perfect, but for a guy like me, it wasn't something that I was needed. But I don't know what like, for example, Daniel's personality may show, what he'll require, what he'll need, and everyone's different.
Yeah,
everyone's completely different in terms of how they are as an adult and what they're going to be best at. And that's why we do those personality assessments, because we can get a better idea for what people need.
Yeah, and who they are, what's their strength and what's their weakness, because we're all different in every aspect. We're not all the same.
So Daniel, if you're watching this, 20 years from now, don't you think you're not going to college, buddy? You're going to college.
Absolutely. Right? Well, guys, we'll be back in just a few minutes. On the next segment, we're going to be talking about things that Alan wishes that he had done a little bit differently.
Oh,
because we all wish sometimes we've done things a little bit differently.
Nice.
So
yeah,
you
we'll
won't want to miss
that.
that. We'll be back in just a few minutes, guys.
When you're ready to stop working your real estate career and start building a real estate business, Team WPR is a place to be. Not only do we offer real results, real support, and real branding, but furthermore, 80 to 100% commissions of your hard-earned money going back to you. Make sure you reach out to us. Join at teamwpr.com. Again, that's join, JOIN, at teamwpr.com. Hey, Quest IRA, this is Alan over at White Picket Realty. Just wanted to remind you to save the date, June 16th, for free 3-hour MCE course for realtors only. Are you a realtor, or do you know a realtor? Do you know that most realtors retire just over broke? We want to help you. We want to show you how you can invest in the stuff you know best by teaching you how realtors can retire rich. Sponsored by Quest IRA, White Picket Realty, and Texas American Title. Feel free to reach out to us and learn more about it. Save the date, June 16th, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. See you there. Hey, Houston, this is Alan Hernandez over at White Picket Realty, and I want to share an important event that's coming up June 7th, 6 to 9 p.m. Make sure you guys save the date, save the time. St. Arnold's Brewery. What's happening at this event, David? What do we have going on there?
We're going to have our White Picket Happy Hour at, like you mentioned, St. Arnold's Brewery. We are expecting over 200 plus realtors, wholesalers, private money lenders, other investors, and other real estate professionals in general.
I've met attorneys at this thing. I've bought houses at this thing. I've sold houses. I've raised money. This is one of the best events in town, and people love coming out, not just because there's free food and free drinks, but because of the way that the event is set up and what we bring to the table in terms of bringing vendors right to their front doorstep and letting them know what we can do to help everyone's business. Isn't that the point of going to these networking events, to helping everyone grow?
Exactly. If you want to grow your net worth, RSVP at teamwprhappyhour.eventbrite.com. Hey everyone, this is David with the House Flipping Network. And if you're like a lot of people, you're probably daydreaming right now about getting to fire your boss. Let me tell you about an exciting opportunity for you to do just that. If you've been looking to get into real estate investing or flipping homes, the House Flipping Network provides coaching and consultation services for people looking to grow a real estate investment business. If you're interested in more information, please reach out to me at david@houseflippingnetwork.com.
And we're back. This is going to be our last segment for the day, so make sure you stick around. We got a lot of good information coming. Right now, we're going to finish our interview with our host and our special guest for the day, Alan Hernandez, and we've got some really good information coming from him. So let's go ahead and get him right back on the air since we've got limited time here. Alan, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks again for joining us today. Again, don't forget that if you need to text us, want to have anything to say inside the show, we are live as we speak. You can text us directly at 24587, right from your smartphone. You can say whatever you want. Just make sure that you put the letters RR, and that stands for Realty Ruckus, right before whatever it is you type in. That goes directly to our screen here, live on the studio, and we can literally respond to any comments, questions, or anything you may want to say to us right now, live on the spot. So again, thanks again for joining us today and for listening to my rants about how I got started and what some of the things that I've done. And you know, we originally said that we were going to talk about some of the things that you shouldn't do, and so I think we're going to actually touch on the stuff that I felt that I should have done better. You mentioned that, BB, and
yeah, well, we talked a little bit about the things that you did and how you got there, and really what we're just curious is, with all the knowledge that you have now, if you could go back and redo some things differently, what are some things that you would do differently?
You know, there's a lot of things I would do differently. I actually took the long approach, and I think I could have shaved years off of my learning curve had I changed a couple things. One, I really wish I could have found a mentor. But the problem that I had with the mentors, especially when I was looking for one here in town, is that everyone was either focused on just residential real estate, which, you know, I didn't want to become, you know, a full-time agent. I actually always wanted to find a way to stick to investment real estate and do that. And the other portion of that was that the real estate investment mentors that I had, man, the options that I had were very poor in terms of quality, to say the least. And I didn't get a chance to really see someone who was really practicing out there. A lot of times what I ran into was people that were just talking, not actually doing. And so I didn't want to learn, and especially pay someone to teach me something that they probably had literally just learned off of a book and were just regurgitating information.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I think that's, and I unfortunately couldn't find that. So I took the long route, and I learned from, you know, hit and miss and trial and error. And had I had access to a better, you know, group of people or even a person to teach me the business along the way, I think that could have saved me a bunch of time. The other thing that I think I probably could have done better had I, you know, if I was to go back and redo it, is really nurture my contact list. I didn't get a chance to do that, and I didn't understand the value in doing that till, you know, very, very recently, just in the last few years, where I realized why Google makes so much money. I realized why, you know, Amazon makes so much money. Their value, what they pursue in terms of clients isn't just, you know, a person that's purchasing from them some service or a product. They're actually looking for the information behind it, you know. So Google knows everything about you based on what you type into their search bar. You know,
absolutely.
Same thing with Amazon. Amazon knows everything about your purchasing activities based on what you search in their website. And next time you log on, guess what they do? Hey, here's what you should buy, and here's the discount. And guess what you do? You buy it, you know? Same thing with Google. They know everything about you. And I think, now I realize how important that is, how important it is to not just have a potential client list or a seller list or whatever, a list of people, people in your network, people in your immediate circle or whatever, but most of all, take care of that list. How do you service those lists? And had I done that from the beginning, I think I'd be miles and miles ahead. So that's one of the things I actually advocate for now, especially with our newer agents, is, hey, put this list together and here's how you nurture it. Here's how you take care of it. Because if I'd have done that, I think the world would be a different place.
Absolutely.
The other thing I think I wish I could have continued doing as I was learning this business is continuously stayed in a position of learning. So I realized, I made a few mistakes along the way by thinking that I knew and not always accepting that I was always a student. And when you're in this business, regardless of what what level you've achieved or how many houses you've flipped or how many houses you've listed or how much money you make each month, you are always in a learning position. You are always in a scenario where you can stand to learn something from someone else. And I've gotten to that point now, but I can definitely say that I wasn't there before. I let a couple of really, really big paychecks maybe get to my head and say, hey, I really understand this. And I do. I mean, in a lot of ways, I understand, what I know best in my business is obviously being a broker, but most importantly, being an investor. I know that like the back of my hand. And to me, it's simple. And some people look at it like, wow, you're doing all these amazing things. And it's just an everyday thing for me now. But I've even come to the point where I've met people and learned about other systems and learned about, other investors who I look at now. And I'm like, wow, I have miles and miles and miles to go. And I want to always be in the position of learning. So without a doubt, I never want to stop reading. I never want to start doing the automobile MBA. And what I mean by that is always listening to incoming information to teach you, to help you grow, so that you always have something fresh in mind to continuously grow your own business. That's definitely one of the things that I would suggest if you're out there doing. Don't stop learning. Don't stop at all.
So if you had to give one piece of advice, and obviously you've given a ton of stuff throughout the show, but if you had to give that one piece of advice that's going to change somebody's business, somebody who's listening today can say, oh man, that really changed my business, what is the one piece of advice that you would give?
Wow, man. See, that's crazy. There's so much real good advice that I think you need as a real estate investor or a real estate agent or anybody in the real estate business. It doesn't matter who you are. There's a lot of really good sound advice that you need to run a business. But I do want to say one thing. If there was one thing I would tell, every single person is to follow your passion. Do what you love, and don't worry about the money. Let the money follow. And that's one of the things that I think has really allowed me to have a feeling of success, is that I get a chance to do what I like to do. And it never feels like work to me. I wake up and I'm happy to come over here and I'm happy to see you guys and I'm happy to go look at some projects and yeah, I get my shoes dirty and I think it's awesome. It's cool, man. I get a chance to really enjoy that. Follow your passion. And you always see people that aren't following their passion by the way they react. When you talk to them, this agent that I met with, when I sent her the offer and she was like, well, I'll present it, and it's like, yeah, 4 or 5 days later, they might respond or they might not. And
they don't really care.
They don't care. They're not following their passion. They're not doing what they love. They're just kind of doing things. They're just kind of living day to day and hoping things get done. And I just think if you're in that rut, find something else to do. And that's whether you're in real estate or whether you're in a 9-to-5 or whether you're in anything. If you wake up and you can't stand your life and you hate coming to work and you're not excited about doing what you're getting ready to do today, just stop. Just stop. Stop now while you can. You don't get a second chance. You get one shot at this life. And
what would you say to the people that are too afraid to do that? Because I know that that's a big deal. But a lot of people are just too afraid to do it.
I like that question. I like that question a lot because the truth behind all of that is there's fear. There's fear that's underneath all of that. They're like, well, what if? And what if I don't make it? And what if I don't do that? And you know what's funny is I always talk about, failure not being an option, but the reality behind that comment is that failure is the only option. It's crazy how that works. If you choose not to fail ever, you also choose not to grow ever. You also choose never to expand your horizons, never to learn something new, because you're comfortable. You're in that scenario where everything's just fine, and you get your paycheck, and maybe you'll get some an increase one day, but maybe you won't. Whereas if you say, you know what, forget this, and I really admire some of the guys recently that have joined our team, and maybe we can at some point interview them, because we have one guy who literally said that. He said, you know what, I've been working a 9-to-5 with the bank. I make great money. This guy's making 6-figure income at a bank, but my passion's in real estate. I'm going to dump everything. I have a 3 to 6 month reserve sitting aside. I'm going to dump everything, and I'm going to give this thing my best shot.
Just make it happen.
Just make it happen. And you know what, man? I was sitting here listening to this guy during the final interview, and the only thing I could think of was, this guy's amazing. And whether he makes it or not, he will feel so much more fulfilled in life, in this lifetime, by just giving that a try, by just trying it. And whether he figures this thing out or not, whether he fails miserably and crashes and has to file for bankruptcy or not, he will at least be able to tell his kids, hey, you know what? At least I gave it a shot.
That's true.
At least I tried it. Because everybody else out there was too scared to do it. They were just worried about failing instead of trying to take action. So to me, that's admirable.
I think that's an amazing piece of advice too. And I think it's really cool to hear the stories from people like that. So it was awesome. I know you're the host of the show, and moving forward, we're going to have other guests on here. So I want to talk a little bit about what people can expect from the show moving forward in the coming days and weeks, when they can listen to us, all that good information.
Well, right now we're planning on doing 2 shows a week, which this is based on the advice of my producers. My producers are very aggressive. I see 3. If you guys don't see them, I see three pit bulls looking at me like, you better say the right thing right now. All right. So we're planning on doing 2 shows a week, but most importantly is the content that we want to bring to the table. And it's not just me. I would hate to listen to just me all day, even though I do like to talk a lot. All right. And we've established that, right? I would actually want to bring other experts in the industry. And then what we want to do is we want to interview them. So if you're an expert in the industry, any industry that you're in that has to do with real estate, we want to talk to you. We want to figure out what makes you do what you do. We want to know what your big why is. We want to understand, why you got into business, how you got into it, and what you're planning on doing for the rest of this year, your 3-year, your 5-year, your 10-year plan. We want to understand what makes your business successful. We want to understand those things about you. And then we want to take that information. We want to share it with the industry. We want to share it with all of our friends, with all of our clients, and bring that information to them direct so that they can hear it from the horse's mouth. And the reason why we want to do that is because that's the ultimate way to grow, is understanding other people that have already done it, understanding that you can't you really don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can try it, but it just takes so much longer. Or you can find people that have already done it. You can find people that are already doing it successfully right now and just imitate everything they're doing. And you'll get the same results.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about bringing in those people. And we plan on doing those interviews on Tuesdays. Friday specifically, from 10 to 11. One of the cool segments that we're going to have is a legal segment. We're actually going to bring in a real legal attorney and have him give us good legal advice, and people will be able to call in or text questions.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty exciting as well.
Yeah. So perfect example of that is I have someone who wants to list a house that he doesn't own. Is it legal?
I guess we'll find out soon.
And here's the other thing. We're always going to run into a situation here where the question is it legal and or is it ethical?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So we have a chance to literally sit here. We'll have an attorney here who will answer those questions for us. And then we'll have a conversation on whether it's ethical or not, and whether you should be doing it and how you should be doing it correctly, or if you're going to be looking at getting a letter from Trek for doing something illegal or unethical.
Yeah,
you never know.
Absolutely. Well, that was show number 1. I know the time goes by just way too fast.
Time goes by so
Good job,
fast,
guys.
I want
guys.
to thank you guys. I'm executive producer Jabron Hernandez. I want to thank Brandon.
Thank you very much.
Co-producer, and David Bonilla, another co-producer. And of course, guys, let's give a big round of applause for our host, Alan Hernandez.
Guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for everything. You guys are awesome producers. We came up with this idea out of nowhere, and somehow look at all this. Look at all these wires. It's crazy.
I guess today, first show, I give myself a C-. What would you give yourself?
Oh, so yeah. So one of the things we want to do is grade ourselves, right? Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with an A-.
Okay, I can
I'm gonna go
believe
with
that.
an A-.
We're grading
But that's
ourselves.
because I'm grading myself.
Yeah, let's grade each other.
If we were grading each other, I'd probably give myself a different grade. I felt a little bit nervous at first, and I probably rambled more than I should, as I always do. But I'm getting more comfortable now here, and it feels good. And I like talking to you guys, and I hope our audience is out there and gaining some valuable information from us. So I'm gonna go with an A-, just for shits and giggles.
All right, then. Well, thanks so much, guys, for being here with us on the Realty Ruckus, and we hope to see you back here on Friday.
Find us on YouTube and Facebook for replays of previous episodes. And as always, keep elevating yourself and keep up your ruckus. Thanks for listening. Realty Ruckus has been brought to you by Smart Pig Media Productions.